So this is why we are looking at the identity property of multiplication right now, because it's directly relevant to making things as simple as possible with our fractions. Okay, so just like anything multiplied by 1, so anything multiplied by 1 is itself, right? So 3 times 1 equals 3. Well, because of that, if we divide both sides by 3, then we find out that 1 equals 3 divided by 3. And that's going to be true of anything, right? Okay? So 6.26 times 1 equals 6.26. Using basic algebra, if we divide this, if we're trying to isolate 1, if we divide both sides by 6.26, we end up with this 1 equals 6.26 thing. Okay? And that is going to mean that anything over itself is equal to 1. 3 over 3 equals 1. Therefore, 3 over 3 times 6.26 is going to be 1 times 6.26, which is just 6.26, right? So 5 over 5 times 6x minus 12 is equal to 6x minus 12. Why is that important? It's important because when we get to something like this right here, 5 times 6x minus 12 over 5. This isolates. This becomes 5 over 5 times 6x minus 12, which of course is just 6x minus 12. So what happens is, that's why when we say that you can cancel stuff out when they're fractions, that's why you can cancel it out. Because 5 over 5 is 1. And 1 times anything is itself. That's why it cancels out. So this is pretty important because sometimes we see the 3 over 3 and we think we've understood a previous math teacher, and we say, well, 3 over 3 just disappears because it just cancels itself out. The 3 cancels out with the 3, and oops, the 3 cancels out with the 3 and we're done. But that's not what happens. The 3 cancels out with the 3 and it becomes 1. If there's nothing else going on, it still becomes 1. Excuse me, sorry about that. Have a little bit of a cold here. Anyway, so here we are. This 3 cancels with this 3, this 5 cancels with this 5, and this somewhat complicated looking fraction becomes 2/3. Okay? Pretty important stuff, because this is how we're going to get where we're going to get next with this whole thing. This actually ends up equaling, I gotta stop doing that, I don't know how I'm doing that. This ends up equaling 3 over 3 times 5 over 5 times 2 over 3. Only because it's all multiplication. This wouldn't work with addition and subtraction. Very important point. But it doesn't matter. This becomes 1, this becomes 1, and we get 1 times 1 times 2/3. Well, 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 2/3 is just 2/3. So our answer is 2/3. And this is how we're going to use this identity property of multiplication to make fractions really super simple. Alrighty?